Hi there, Sheppo here. We're going to have a bit of a rant. So, MMO Champion today. Maybe this was posted yesterday. But as you know, 5.4 is just around the corner for WoW. And there's been lots of news about the new features that are coming in that. We've had stuff like the flexible raid system and also the new Proving Grounds. Now, Proving Grounds, I'm going to be honest before we get started here. I've not been onto the PTR this time. But there's been some more complaining on the forums about the Proving Grounds feature that they're adding. And basically, what Proving Grounds is, it's a little bit like the Brawlers Guild, if you've been into the Brawlers Guild, but instead of individual bosses that increase in difficulty, what the Proving Grounds is it's role dependent. So if you're a tank, you're going to be seeing encounters which teach you how to generate threat or taunt or get aggro off of NPC mobs which are emulating noobs. If you're a healer, you'll be healing NPC mobs which are emulating noobs and also like tanks and stuff like that. And if you're DPS, you're going to be doing stuff like CC and obviously single target DPS and stuff like AoE. Essentially, it's going to teach you how to play. If you're not a great player, it's going to give you a little bit of a challenge, which isn't going to put you in a group scenario where you might feel a little bit intimidated if you're new to that class. It's not going to teach you how to play, but it's going to give you a challenge which will hopefully teach you how to be a better player of that particular class. And maybe it's going to teach you how to use some abilities of your class that you might not have used before, which I think is a really great feature. So, one of the things we've had over the past few expansions, more and more so with the latter expansions, is that there's been this massive divide between noobs, and I'm not calling them noobs, but this is like the community terminology for people who don't know how to play or aren't as good as perceived by the second group of people, which are the elitists. And the two are kind of arguing across this virtual fence, and people like myself are stuck in the middle going, it's ridiculous. No one's perfect. No one's the best player in the world, and everyone can be a little bit better. And Proving Grounds is something that both sides of that argument have been asking for quite a while. Something that's going to allow the people that know they're not great players to become better players, and it's going to teach them how to play. So that's helping out the noobs. And on the other side of the fence, we're going to get the elitists. They want more people to be like them. They want more people who are really good at playing the game. So Proving Grounds is brilliant, and of course it scores you at the end when you've finished, and a bit like a challenge mode. And there's achievements locked to that as well. So if you do well, you're going to come out with a gold achievement, and if you don't do particularly well, you're going to come out with bronze. So the Blues have what they've done is they've said how good those particular ratings are going to be, or how good a player you will be if you get certain scores. So a bronze scored player can expect to go into a heroic dungeon, a 5-man dungeon, and be good enough to just go through that, and that's fine. And silver will be good enough to go into LFR, and gold would be good enough to go into something like flexible raiding or normal mode. So the elitists aren't really included in that, because the fantastic players that are doing heroic progression, well, they should easily get gold without even thinking about it. They get the achievement and move on. But for the guys on the other side of the fence, they've got something to work towards, which is brilliant. So why the rant? Well, a quote, and I'm not even going to look up who said this, because it made me so angry. I don't even want to know who you are. Their quote was, "I give it 2 weeks after 5.4 hits that we will see pugs expecting any and all to have Proving Grounds at gold level minimum, massively over gear instance, and for any who don't have it to be told you're bad and sneered at and abused. Proving Grounds at gold will be considered mandatory for all regardless." Now, why do I have such a fucking problem with that? Well, number one, whoever it is that made that comment has come into this discussion about Proving Grounds and hasn't, I'm guessing, it's fairly obvious that they haven't been on the PTR and they haven't gone in and seen how easy or difficult it is. Granted, the Blues are saying it's a little bit under geared at the minute and it's going to get a little bit trickier, But they haven't been on there. They don't know how to. They're assuming they're going to be bad, and I think that default position of being a bad player is one of the core things that's wrong with the World of Warcraft community at the minute. There's a lot of people who they want all of the rewards with no effort, not even minimal effort, no effort. And this guy here or girl is expecting to be able to get into the best groups for anything, for all content, whilst expecting to get bronze rating in Proving Grounds. But worse than that, they're relying on other people to set up pugs. They're relying on somebody else to do the work in getting those groups together and determining who are the good or bad players. And they're assuming they're going to be marked as bad. They may well be bad players, and they're assuming they're not going to be included. Again, WoW is a community-driven game. You need people like that who are going to set up the groups. They are going to determine who gets into those groups. But there has to be some way to actually determine whether a player is as good as they say they are, or is one of these no effort, I want to join along for the ride, and if Blizzard doesn't give me all the purples, I'm going to quit. It's that attitude which pisses me off about gaming online in a minute. It's just, you know, play the game if you want to play the game. Play it. Put as much effort into it as you can, but don't expect to get the experience, excuse the pun, if you don't put the effort in. Thankfully though, the blues, and I'm not sure which blue it was that responded perfectly. And he or she said, not intending to be snide, but if you don't like being held to the standards of others, you can always create your own group and decide who can join. I think you'll find that after some difficulty there are good reasons why people have learned to set up some standards and requirements. Not that all of them are necessarily accurate or needed, but in creating your group and making good judgment calls on what those can be, you could create a very popular, fun, successful and regularly occurring pug. Now I hope some of the people that have been critical of essentially every new feature Blizzard have been putting into this game in the past years have read that and actually seen, you know what, if I actually put some effort in, I can get more out of this game instead of this laid back, no effort tourist. Now I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm quite a casual player these days. I don't do heroic raiding anymore. I don't have the time, but I don't expect to get the rewards from heroic raiding without putting the time in. And I hope people can see that you have to have this effort and reward to some extent before you're going to get, well, the reward. I'd love to know what your guys' comments on or your thoughts are on this. I'm sure I'm not alone on this, but I'm probably just mortally offended somebody by what I've just said. If you've got any comments, I'd love to hear what they are, and we can have a nice little discussion about them. How about that? See you next time.